It's 7 p.m., July 11th, 2023. I'd like to call the Town of Lake Mills Town Board monthly meeting to order. Notice is posted at the Town Hall and the town website. Can we get a motion to adopt tonight's agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Second the motion.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. And we get a motion to approve the June 13th, 2023 Town Board minutes.
Make a motion to approve the June 13th minutes.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstained, I abstain. Okay, motion carries. Approval of the treasurer's report.
Make a motion to approve the July 2023 treasurer's report.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carries to approve the treasurer's report. Approval of the town board expense sheets.
Got
Did
it?
you have one, Roger?
Yes. I had the 300 and, what was it, 375?
$315 for that. We paid for that survey.
Yeah, for the appraisal for the land on Conservation Road, so.
Okay. Can we get a motion to approve that?
I'll make a motion to approve Robin's expense sheet.
Second the motion.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries to approve the expense sheets. Approval of the general fund vouching.
Make a motion to approve July's disbursements of $52,884.15.
Second that motion.
Any other discussion on there?
I just have a question. Clean the storm sewer, which one did Forrest clean out?
That was the one at the bottom of Short Hills, that gully,
Gully.
Yeah, it's
Oh, down in there.
the pond.
Then the other question I have is, when Leverton Law Office, does he represent our police
He goes to
at
the
the
court.
trials? At the
Yeah,
courts?
yeah, he does the municipal court.
So that's, okay. Seems like a lot of money.
It depends on how many people
Case
have to
of
test there.
stuff,
I know.
Yeah, like I just received this coming month's, or last month now, that'll be paid next month, and it's $900 some. I think there's 2 or 3 different contested cases, so.
The only question I had on it was the tree trimming by Wolf, but I'm assuming that he had to get something out of his way. And that's why that charge got incurred.
Is the 4,200, is that the correct amount that we planned for him to charge?
It's right around there.
Yeah, I thought it was 38, but then when I look at it,
He raised
your
his
other sheet,
he
it's
raised
42.
Yeah, he raised his price
Yeah.
a little bit from last year.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 84 on the budget rate.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries to approve disbursements.
Now, the only other question I have is, are we going to add that check?
Oh, that was the
Yeah,
Lake Mills
that's-
check.
It's $15,223.50
See
for
you
6
next
months.
month.
Okay,
Yep, all right, hold it.
all right.
All righty, reports, police report.
Mick provides you a copy of the Lake Patrol hours in the monthly report for Lake Patrol.
Yep. Yeah, and I think you mentioned in that email that hours were not very impressive. But that's primarily because of the lack of officers. But the good news I think that he shared was that they were
There's 3 of them
three
that
that
are
were
fully trained.
almost fully trained, yeah. So that's great news. So it's progressing, it's taking time, and it's the way it is in that environment right now.
The other thing
Unfortunately.
that makes sense to bring up at this point is Bob and I have been discussing changing the launch envelopes, because this type of envelope, the other one, they're not making, these aren't available anymore. So we thought about, and I think I've discussed this maybe with you, about putting the daily and seasonal on the same envelope. This is a sample of what it looks like. and then they would indicate what they're paying, and they'd still fill out all the information, and then we'd know, say they don't fill out all the information, they only throw $8, and we know it's just a daily then. But otherwise, if they're paying for an annual, we've got all the information, and it's just going down to one envelope then instead of two separate ones. The only question I have for Sharon is if that's going to make it difficult when you go through and process them, to sort them and such. Or do you still open each up and then set them to a
Well,
pile?
usually when I go through and I pull all the annual ones out, and then I'll open up the daily ones, because often there are $60 in the
Daily.
daily, so then I put them aside and do the annual ones.
Okay.
It might be a little harder to, well, I guess I just have to pull, because I'm doing them, the annuals set aside and do them on the end.
Especially when they check the daily box and give you $60.
Right, yeah. I think
That does happen.
Yeah, right, yeah. But we thought, Bob and I even thought if we try even one box worth to see if it's gonna work, because the annual permits right now, they come in this envelope. So it would be the same envelope, several with an option of either daily or annual on it, so.
Is that gonna be really stand out daily and seasonal?
It's just up at the top here.
Can you make it, can you be printed in red or something?
I could ask them.
Usually,
I know they do the numbers in red.
In red.
Yeah, but if they could do that in red.
Okay.
Might help a little bit.
Pops out, yeah, because it's a lot of print.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing I had suggested too is it shows where the perforation is supposed to be on the image, but when you're actually looking at the envelope, you don't really see the perforation. I feel like there should be an actual printed line that looks like a dashed line, so they realize there's something to tear off.
Tear off of there, yeah.
So that was the only other thing I thought. I can keep working with
Yeah,
Sarah.
they get confused. I mean, even on the regular one.
Yeah, they do.
Supposed to
On a lot of
do
the dailies, a lot of people are not pulling off the stuff that they're supposed to put in their window.
Yep.
And that's actually more visible even.
Yeah, I know, but that's,
So I can keep working with the leader printing to hone in on a design a little bit better, and it may just be a work in progress as we try different things out too. So, but
excellent. One other thing Mick mentioned is that the three officers were probably, it sounded like they were going to be on the boat, not on land. So to focus on that for the remainder of the boating season. There was a couple citations, it looks like, or at least I think there was only 2 citations in one warning. Type 4, which is the class 4 throwable, which is a pretty common one. And then a careless, reckless operation citation in one warning. That's it. Plan Commission report, Jim.
We did not have a meeting. No report.
Cambridge Fire and EMS report.
We met last Thursday evening. We really only had, well, there was a closed session, but we only had one agenda item, and that was to discuss the potential of a name change to Glacial Lakes. And we made a motion to table it because there was just tons of hostility in that room, and we were going nowhere, so it was tabled. Next meeting coming up, we're going to elect offices and then probably bring the name change off the table. So really not much other than it's a very divided group. Very divided.
Okay. Joint Rock Lake Committee, doesn't look like anybody's here tonight. Town Chairman report, City, County, State Communications, City, Public Works. They were just discussing tonight rate change surveys with water utilities and electric utilities. So not much more than that. That agenda at the county level, it's more been roads talk, other than the fact that they just sent me an email the other day for a focus group. I don't know if you were attached on it. I gotta look back. They haven't been good about attaching parts on it.
were there.
Were you attached on it?
I was, yeah.
So I don't know if it's just, if everyone was invited to.
Actually, I got it too.
Okay,
So I think
all right,
it's a mass.
all right.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to make everyone aware of it. I signed up for next Wednesday or whatever, for the strategic planning for Jefferson County. State communications, the only meeting we had was over the Rock Lake Road thing. It was a communications meeting to get all the parties, engineers together. It was a fun old time. And it's mowing looks like you got through a pretty good first wave. I don't know, I'll give them
We're saving a lot of money. If you look at the budget, I think we've only spent like $600 on parks mowing this year so far.
No, because of the drought.
Yeah.
The ditch mowing, I give him a, C. I mean, he missed a lot of spots again. Just for no rhyme or reason, especially in short hills. And it seems like some areas he does really good, and some they turn into high gear or something, and it's not very good. So.
There is the issue of the property owner at the corner of Newville Road and Cool Road that's been putting temporary fencing up to allow her sheep to graze in the right-of-ways. And she had it out during the mowing process, and I saw that he went around, but I think we need to have that addressed.
We have a big problem with what do you call them? Yard signs. And the fiberglass stakes are popping up everywhere. And I know that's an issue too. They're everywhere now. There's like 5 or 6, 10 of them.
The fiberglass
I mean, and I don't
stakes
even know how you go about dealing with that.
Like the fiberglass stakes are on the yard signs?
Snowplow stakes.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
And most of those properties are maintained, but there was a lot of yard signs that were like, there's one on the park property, and then he had to stop the mower, start the mower, and then there's areas, I think, if the weeds are tall enough, he probably doesn't know what's in there.
Well, anything the road right of way, the town has the right to take down.
Yeah. Well, then we're just gonna have to go around and maybe post a warning on the website, give him 30 days, and if it doesn't come down, then because it's starting to get out of control a little bit. I mean, the yard signs, just put them back, 8-10 feet or whatever. Mm-hmm. You can still see them. All right, I'm trying to think if there was anything else there. Most of the county stuff was Korth Highlands Road, which just got completed. They just finished that a couple days ago with the shouldering. Looks like it turned out halfway decent. The county did that, so.
And I just made a copy of the check and the actual invoice we received, because Brian Udovich needed that as a copy for the grant file. He's got to keep a record of that, so I
Okay.
sent that to him today.
Okay, excellent. All right, Parks Committee, we didn't meet. Town Health Facilities Committee.
We haven't met yet, or so.
Okay.
On hold.
All right, period of public comment. This is the time if the general public wants to come and speak. They're welcome to. Please come to the podium, state your name, and keep it to 3 minutes or less.
My name is Leslie Rumpf. I am representing the Lake Ripley Ride, and the organization is the Cambridge Community Activities Program. We do an annual bike ride that will be this year on July 29th. That comes through some of the roads in the town of Lake Mills. We've been doing this ride for 11 years now. It's a fundraising ride for JDRF and for the rec department in Cambridge. We will see probably through on this part of the course about 100 riders. That by the time that they come through this area, they are already kind of spread out from each other. So the most that you would see together is maybe 4 riders at a time. But we just wanted to make sure that we have all the application in, all of the things that we need from you guys or for you guys. But we just wanted to talk through and make sure that it was okay for us to do that again this year.
What I can do too is I'll post this on the website so people are aware of it. It is a smaller ride by quite a bit compared to some of the other ones. So we'll just make sure people are aware, and I'll post do you have a link of the map on your website?
Yep. So lakeripleyride.com is where all of the information is.
Okay, because I'll probably copy the link in that note so they can go to the map and see what roads would be affected.
Yeah,
so.
perfect. And basically it comes in off of Krogville Road, goes by Airport Cemetery Road, and then comes back around by Shorewood Hills. Mm-hmm. And then we have a rest stop that we reserve out at Korth Park, the Elm Grove rest stop. And then we head back in on S and A back to Cambridge. So it's the last leg of our event. But
And our EMS carrier changed to Cambridge. I don't know if you knew that.
I do. I'm actually a volunteer for Cambridge EMS.
yeah.
So I am very aware that our town that we now cover this area as well. So yes, they are notified. Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Application, or do we have anybody else for public speaking tonight? Going once, going twice, 3 times. Okay, moving on. Applications. None? I take it.
Nope.
Old business. Discussion or decision, a resolution for intergovernmental agreement with Cambridge Fire EMS. Nothing to change here.
Nothing, no, really nothing.
Okay.
There's still working on the contract, but there's nothing to do for the intergovernmental agreement because we're already
Yep.
read it. So
New business, discussion, decision of requested signage by Daybreak Foods on Crossman Road to help regulate truck traffic.
Keith Kulo representing Daybreak, the Creekwood location. I guess I'm looking for guidance and approval to locate 2 signs in the right-of-way. One being located on the east side of Crossman at N5344, and it'll read shipping docks. The other on the west side, basically almost opposite of it. On the west side of Crossman at N5395 to read mill receiving. Both signs are approximately 18 inches by 30 inches, white reflective background with black verbiage and arrows to designate the trucks. And I guess I'm asking because I want them in the right of way so the trucks can see them. And they're a bigger sign for that purpose as well.
What size was this sign again?
Pardon?
What size was it again?
Approximately 18 by 30.
Okay, thank you.
And this is to keep trucks from missing the turn and
to
driving all the way down.
It's hopefully to mitigate the
Causing
trucks
more havoc.
backing back up the road, and you can give them GPS locations and everything, and they always seem to miss it. I don't know why or how.
I don't understand how, and I don't want to own the truck that turns around that irrigation well either because
Yeah.
Are they going to have flashing lights on them or anything to
No.
catch your attention?
I don't even know. I mean, this is a good gesture, I guess, and hope that it will help alleviate some of that. I don't even know if flashing lights will help.
They'll be out of the way of the plow and stuff, plenty of.
I guess I would look
So
to
we don't
your-
have to you worry about.
I would look for your guidance to give me minimums, maximums, and I'll put them wherever. If there's a reg on them, I'll follow that.
Yeah, I think what you need to do there, Keith, is talk to Ty Barnes from the county. He will give you
Okay.
all of the measurements of height.
Tyson Barnes, yeah.
So if somebody hits it, it doesn't go through their windshield, and
Yeah.
how far they're supposed to be from the road and visibilities. He knows all that stuff. So
Okay.
And Tyson actually installs the town's signage.
Yes.
Would it, and this is just a suggestion, I don't know if it's appropriate or not, but would it be something where they could provide the signs to them for Jefferson County, have them install them according to what the standard should be, and then once we receive the invoice, pay it, we'll invoice them?
We
For the
can
cost?
we can do it that way if they donate the signs to us. I think, yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Just so that you know that they're placed according to what the regulations are.
Then
that
he would
way,
just
and-
go ahead and do it, and then it's all, you don't have to worry about it.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll just invoice you for the cost.
However we see fit to do so, I'm willing to
Because they
partake.
also would mark where like
Yeah.
the utility lines would be, so you're
Yep.
not having to,
Yeah, I would be more
Spot.
comfortable with that.
okay.
I think. I mean, I don't know the rest of the board.
So are you going to contact?
I can
Okay.
get the loop going for communication on that with Tyson and then
Okay.
make it work, so
Okay.
might be safer that way.
Yeah, donate the signs to us in an envelope. I don't know what's in the envelope.
I actually might have got ahead of myself. I bought them already. But yeah, I can donate the signs and the posts.
Okay.
If they're approved for it. I guess I should have did this process first. But when I was looking at it to make it work, I wanted them to right away, so.
I make a motion that the town install the 2 signs for Daybreak Foods on Crossman Road.
a second.
Any other discussion?
Then you're going to talk to tie exactly the locations.
Yep.
You can even beat him out there if because he'll be out there at some point.
Yeah, hopefully that would be the case, because,
Yeah.
And the cost will be billed back to them.
yep.
Yep, amended. All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you. You're welcome. Appreciate it. Great
Keep in
evening.
touch with you. We'll
Okay,
get one.
you have my email, right?
Believe so, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Discussion or decision on a grant for Rock Lake Road project in conjunction with the overpass project. Table, you get a motion to take that off the
I'll
table.
make a motion to take it off the table. Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries down table. Okay, Rock Lake Road. The ever-going circus. So the old grant expired in June of this year. Back in, this was emailed, I think, and I don't remember. Did they mail you a copy of this?
It's on the email. That's what I forwarded you.
Yeah, and I don't even know how Sharon's name ended up on this thing.
Really?
Yeah, the Honorable Sharon M. Gutenberg. So I have no
Sure,
idea.
you in charge.
And this actually got emailed to me by Brian.
Oh,
So I believe, because that's where I dug it up from.
okay.
So, yeah, so basically there was a reapplication for a new grant, basically recycling the old grant. Is that, I'm trying to think back that far now. To basically, so we didn't lose the money, lose the grant. And so all that transpired. They approved the new grant, obviously, because they want to get the road done with the bridge. The state does, or the two bridges. Now they're doing the Newville Bridge now too.
Next year.
That would be 24, and then we'll question Corey on that whole thing, because after that phone call, I don't know if I'm more confused than ever, even though I know you were not. Heidi was on it, but according to Brian, in my talks with Brian, it sounded like it was going to happen late in the year, but I don't, by the time we would get to the road part. And that's the funding that got approved right there.
Yeah.
Which obviously causes budgetary constraints.
Right, yeah. Well, temporary.
So I guess, did they approve the 2022 application amount that we made?
Yes, that's in that, I believe that's.
441,000.
Okay.
And reimbursement of 219, yada, yada, yada.
Right. So as a part of, after the call that was had, this is getting installed years after when that estimate was put together. I went back and looked at the current estimate of what I think it would be to construct it next year. And asphalt costs have gone
Oh, yeah,
up.
they're up.
In that budget, we were essentially using numbers that we saw on the Crossman construction combined with what DOT was seeing that same time. Those costs were about $59 a ton for asphalt. A majority of the project cost is obviously the asphalt cost. Now, we're seeing recent bids in 2023, and also with what WISDOT is seeing in all of their publicly led projects, closer to $80 a ton.
Yeah, that's,
So what that does is that takes from that, what was it, 441? It takes it up to 566,000. So it's a big jump, and I have the updated cost estimate that I can leave you with that I prepared.
how do you think that, because, that call, they want everyone to get the engineering done so they can bid the whole thing out together to try to get a better price and all that. Do you think that's going to make any difference or not, in your opinion, or no?
For the town, it's probably not going to help a lot. If you do your project through LRIP, it's locally let, it's a local project. If you tie it with the bridge project, then it's going to be a state contractor. And you're probably going to pay more because of that. Granted, it's a bigger scope, so maybe a contractor might price it more aggressively.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more hoops and things to go through when it's a state-led project.
Was your perception that this is going to get done late in the year, 2024?
I wasn't a part of the call, so I guess I'm not certain, but yeah, I guess that's, we can track what they're looking like.
And when does a billing typically occur? Does it occur like in segments, or does it occur all at the end, or percentages?
Yeah, so I believe this is reimbursement. So basically, you build it, you pay the contractor, then you get reimbursed for the.
But right, at what point do we pay the contractor? I mean, we don't pay him $400,000 or $500,000 up front.
No.
Probably be kind of like Crossman Road where we had done increments.
It was
Yep.
some kind of increments, like you had to wait till the project was 90%.
Yeah, I mean, they would bill the town for the work that's complete. So you're not going to see a bill, but when you sign the contract, you'll see a bill as they're actually doing the work.
Yeah.
So I guess one other thing to discuss, I had sent Tom and Robin, I keep my eyes out for grants that I'm seeing that come available to see if there's something that might benefit the town. I had forwarded one on to Tom. It was the Rural Aid and Tribal Assistance Pilot Program, which is through federal DOT. And after digging into it a little bit more, I guess there's a couple things that there's a good lesson in it, but then also I just don't think it's really worth going after. There's $3.4 million in that program, and it's national. The grants are up to like 300 and some thousand, so there's probably like 10 awards nationally. So chances of getting that are pretty slim. However, I'm seeing a lot more grants federally come available for all types of infrastructure and environmental projects too, where it probably would be very valuable for the town to get their ducks in a row to get what's called a unique entity identifier and to get registered with SAM.gov. So those
I think we already are because of the ARPA funds. I feel like we already are part of SAM.gov.
It should be SAM.gov already. That we should be.
Right.
do you have a UEI?
I believe so.
Okay.
I had to look in that file.
Because a lot of these programs, like the one that I forwarded to Tom, you'll get a month and a half notice before application, and it takes a month to get through that UEI and SAM.gov process. So if you haven't done it, I would suggest doing it. If you have it in place, that's great. So then as things come available and we can chase them, and not worry about that step. The program that I sent to Tom, as an example, that has no match requirement to it. So it's basically 100%
That's a free for
grant.
all. Yeah.
Yeah, so there are some really good programs that come through, and some of them will be worth going after. This one, I think it's kind of very slim shot, just given the size of the money and the pool of people that'll be going for it.
On this Rock Lake grant, the engineering fees, have they paid them 50/50 on them? They never used to. They always had the towns pay the engineering fees 100%.
Yeah, so this was LRIP. I think you're right. I think that's not a part of it, but I would have to double check to be sure. If you want, I can look into that.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the 441 did include engineering. So I think it must be. I'm sorry. I think it must be included, but I'll double check certainly that.
I thought it was on this one, but I could be wrong.
Wasn't this already engineered once? So you can just review the engineering?
No, this was never engineering, man, because way back when, right about when I came on, you guys didn't want to do the shovel-ready engineering at that time because you didn't know what was going to happen. And then, of course, the whole thing got delayed, which was a good decision.
What you may be remembering too is there was a contract for the engineering, but it was never designed.
It was never
moved.
executed.
All right.
Okay.
That was that place out of La Crosse.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was a
Yeah.
SEH or?
SEH, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So the grant's gonna or the LRIP is gonna reflect this cost.
Well, I think we'll need to go back to them and see if they can up that. I don't know what they have available.
Yeah, I mean, what is the state going to do? They budgeted That's what they, I mean, they budgeted their amount for, I can't believe that they're all of a sudden, they budgeted enough for this thing. I mean, they were looking at that bridge, 5 years ago.
Right. Yeah, so I don't know if they've updated their amount, but with LRIP, a lot of times projects won't move forward and they'll have extra money and they'll just reallocate and shuffle stuff around. So I think the next step is to probably ask them, tell them we've updated our estimate and say, hey, do you have funding to make a 50-50 match on this increased amount?
Yeah, well, that's a valid question. I mean, I would want to ask that question.
Yeah.
It puts more pressure back on them again,
Right.
and I think that's a fair thing to do, but that's just me.
Yeah.
And I know you're going to be scrambling on the engineering side of things because the later this gets drawn out, that puts more pressure on you guys.
Yeah, it'll be a quick turnaround to get it all surveyed and designed and bid and ready to go.
Yeah.
If they do the bridge in late '24, then we won't have to do the road till '25.
I mean, you could delay and do a little bit after. I know that when they set the bridge, they want to not have they want to make sure that the pavement's there, but the pavement may get damaged from the cranes and things. They'll have some very heavy loads on the road. So being the condition that it's in already, when you start throwing loads like that on it, it'll probably degrade even more. So I think we can, delay somewhat. We don't need to mesh perfectly with them, but the road is going to need to be, fixed, I'm sure, after they
It's going to be gone.
running trucks as much as they will with the bridge replacement on it.
I mean, they wanted to, the call we were on, and I mean, how you can elaborate this to you, but it sounded to me like they want to just bang, 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 because they don't want the road to be closed down very long. I mean, that just stuck in their heads, like, we only want to close the road, at one time and be done with it.
So while
Get the whole project done. I mean, that's the state. I mean, that's how they were, yeah.
While it may not help to have the same contractor do it all at once, it might help to try and coordinate the timelines. Like, for example, traffic control. You might be able to just have one contract have traffic control. So there may be some ways to have some savings if you coordinate the timing.
Well, we just don't have money in 2024.
Yeah.
So 2025 works for the town, budget-wise. 2024.
Yeah, I mean, 200 would be vaporized, like.
Yeah, because each year we have an extra levy of 200,000 that we are counting on. So we'll have that at the beginning of 2024 after the initial tax payments are made. So we'll have 200,000 as of January 2024. But then we won't have another 200,000 till January of 2025.
Correct.
What was the timeline on the LRIP grant that they gave you?
Well, we got like 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
26 was.
Yeah, I don't think that's an issue.
Okay.
I think it's more of the coordination aspect of this. But I think, legitimately with these costs going up, very substantially, we can say, well, we're not going to be able to do it till spring of 25 because, unless they give us give us what we need.
Yeah, I doubt that they're going to go more than
I bet they're not going to
the
match
grant
it.
percentage that they had in it.
Yeah, I bet they won't either.
So if there's a concern of the heavy trucks and Rock Lake Road is a short distance from B to the bridge, then what about the Newville Bridge?
Well, they're going to have to go down Cemetery because if they go down Newville, they'll wreck the track.
Yeah, they've got to wreck it, so we're going to have to control.
They know that from the call already.
Okay.
I mean, we'll have to reiterate. There's going to be more calls on this thing.
If they break it, they get to fix it.
Because the coordination is it's a massive undertaking on this thing. So.
But we definitely have to make sure we understand how we're going to pay for it going forward, because that's where we had the hiccup with Crossman Road. We had it all lined up for the grant and the work to be done with no understanding of how that was going to get paid until last minute.
Yeah, and I mean, to take out a loan for 2 or 3 months, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it just doesn't make, I mean,
We made it work, but that's not.
it can work, but it's just, it's kind of a waste of money. It's a big
We're
waste of
trying to
money.
get away from having to take loans out to save
Yeah.
on interest, so.
So I think we'll need to coordinate and see if we can get the grant amount increased and see, you know, the timing aspects of it too, what they're looking at, especially with their construction. So I think it, you know, it sounds like it makes a lot of sense to delay. From our perspective, it, you know, it makes it a lot easier to get it designed.
Well, because you guys are gonna be under the, it's a crazy,
I think at B, we have that Y intersection that I think we're trying to get rid of.
Yeah.
And portions of that look like they're probably beyond the rights of way. So there's probably, you know, at least temporary construction easements that we'll need to get the essentially asphalt off of people's property. So, you know, that takes time. So that type of stuff, I think having this be in 2025 is better.
We still may have to be able to take out a short-term loan because between now and 25, we are not going to be able to pack away $500,000.
Nope.
It's just not going to happen.
Well, again, we're hoping that the grant covers, you know, 50% of it.
Right, yeah, but if you still have to front the money for 2
Yeah,
or 3
true.
months,
Yep.
that's...
you still have to
cash
front the
flow.
money before
Right.
you get reimbursed, and you don't
Right.
get it reimbursed until I mean, look at how long it took on Crossman.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously we'd only have to borrow the reimbursement half, hopefully. I mean, so it'd be
Right.
250,000-ish.
But it would be better to save in 24 and then, you know, have it in 25, at the beginning of 25, and then hopefully have a big chunk of it
Right,
to minimize that.
but you're still probably...
And or you go back to the electors and tell them what you need next year.
That's right.
You say we need 300,000 because this is what we want to do.
Yeah, that'll be
Otherwise, we
this
have to take
fall.
out a loan and it's going to cost you another 30, well, whatever.
Especially when
Big ask
asphalt
for
goes
some of that,
from, you
correct?
say 59 to 84.
Okay, so
Yeah,
make note of
59
this.
to 80.
I can't be the only one to remember it.
Yeah, so it's tough to say where that's going. Is that going to keep going up, or is it going to level off
It's
or
not
come
coming
down?
down. I don't see it coming down.
Yeah, if it doesn't.
Oil costs aren't coming down.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's so many infrastructure projects too. The demand is just really high. So yeah, I think it will remain high until those, you know, grants and that money starts coming down.
well, I think what we need to do is make a motion to have a meeting set up with me, Corey, and probably the state, right?
Mm-hmm.
To,
That's your motion, right?
yeah,
Second.
okay.
He's seconded it, so-
All right. Any other discussion?
No discussion.
To figure out these costs and everything else. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed,
So
nay. Motion
after you
carries.
have that meeting, are you going to send out an email to everybody recapping what was discussed so we're all on the same page?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully it's not an hour-long meeting.
Take good notes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, this, initially when they were talking 25, 26 on this thing, and then they bumped it up again.
Yeah, maybe
And-
they'll
and I
get
think-
pushed back.
Something, what's that?
Maybe they'll get pushed back again. You know. and-
They've been moving around since 2018.
It's, this thing's been going in circles.
Yeah.
I mean, it's frustrating, and now there's another new guy on it.
Oh,
And the
yeah.
new guy didn't even show up for the meeting.
And the pieces just keep falling out.
So, yeah.
So for now, is this agenda item sort of at rest until further information is available?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, the plan would be to get that done here in July here yet. We'll just get these guys on the horn, and then we can report it at the August meeting. And know exactly where we're at on it, so we can put some finality to this thing.
We're on plan for that levy that we have to do.
Yeah, correct. Yep.
It takes time.
Yep. All right, discussion decision on the culvert work on White Oaks Lane. We take it off the tape.
Make a motion to take it off the table.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries, take it off the table. So me and Brian met out at the site. There isn't any real solid engineering solutions really until we get the road redone, which would be the most logical time to do that. However, we both agreed that the trees that are growing in the ditch, that never should have been, I don't think they were planted there. I think they just kind of grew there.
I think some of the evergreens are planted in there.
Well, I mean, they're planted right in the middle of the ditch.
Yeah.
Which you don't plant things in the middle of the ditch. Bad news, but some of these trees are pretty good size now. And all the wells that they did build that were kind of a joke out of the material they used to build them, on the front ends of them to kind of dam it and slow the water down. They're all crumbling and everything, but it's loaded up behind them. So basically the trees got to come out and you got to dig,
Like a sediment pot.
sediment pot behind each one, essentially, yep,
Yeah.
for it to do really any good. Now, I know the water runs mostly down the street because I don't think the pitch of the street is even right and runs to the end. The culvert that Matt Hazel dug back out, or uncovered, I don't even know if it's really serves as much function because that comes from the manhole, I think, across the street. Goes on an angle into this manhole that's kind of level with the ground. And there's a bunch of landscape plants around it, so I don't know if water's even getting to it. And then it's kind of flat there across the driveway up the hill a little bit, and then it goes into that big ravine again by Davis's place there, where that driveway went in. And there's another culvert that cuts across there too. So you're only catching a little bit of
Coming offshore down the road.
We haven't
Yeah.
had any rain events for you to go down over.
Well, the culvert's not going to unplug itself. I mean, that would take that'd take like a,
Flash flood.
yeah, I mean, and they'd all have to go into that manhole essentially, which I don't even know if most of it would even make it there. It would go somewhere else, probably. But we obviously aren't going to have any money to deal with this year, I don't think, so. But eventually, yeah, the trees would have to be taken out and then dug out and then probably put on a 3-year dig out of the sediment deal, just like everything else.
When you want to dig that sediment out soon?
It would be nice to, but I don't think we're gonna have the money to do it this year. Thankfully, we haven't had, I mean, I don't wanna say it because I know you're a rancher. We need the rain.
A lot of people in agribusiness want it to rain.
Yeah. But yeah, the sooner obviously the sooner the better, because it's not much. And I don't know, honestly, once we do it, because the road is so flat, it runs to the end and you can see where the sand builds up on the guardrail every year. Because it all goes straight down the street. It's not going, it was just a hodgepodge engineering design. Brian laughed at it in the county, so. And I don't remember who did it. Was that Strand back then?
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
It never did that. It just started like in the last maybe 4 or 5 years. But it on top, if you could get it to run in the ditches, I think it needs to go in the ditches.
It should, yeah.
And culverts. But, and there used to be lips up on top, but I think the snowplow has kind of wedged those off.
Yeah.
And the sand that's down there, that is from the snowplow.
Oh, yeah.
He
Yeah.
shoots straight down. So
When it all washes
And we
down.
can't
yeah.
add something that's gonna be
it
a
doesn't.
hindrance to the snow plowing.
Doesn't
That's
wash
not gonna
that
be
much.
a
I mean,
good.
the stuff that I sent you guys a copy, and we never had that before until that black little stone was put down. We never had any wash coming down.
Well, that's not the answer either. We got the new answer because we're going to be dealing with it on Course Highlands, and I'll be talking about that in a minute, but that's going to be basically pouring a gutterway. That's the only way you're going to get around with that steep of a grade. You actually have to have an asphalt gutterway to direct the water to a spot and then collect it. But that's,
But that, when I sent you.
I don't think that's even going to work the way that street is so flat right now. The gutterway's never going to help.
But when I sent you that picture, it wasn't in regards to how terrible the road was really contaminated water, it was the wash of that stone.
Yeah, I know, but he put it, you have to remember, that was put in very late in the year. And for those oils to work and for that stone to compact, it needs to be done earlier. And the heat needs to work on it, and that didn't happen. And that's why we had such a wash, because we've used it in a lot of other places and it works just fine. But it's probably, part of it's the grade too. That's a really steep grade. It's a lot like Court Highlands. It's a massive
I know that
pitch.
It wasn't a complaint from me of the road, because I know that the main Shorty Hills is in worse condition than that. The Shorty Hills is in worse condition than that. So I wouldn't want the township to spend a lot of money on that area for 3 families.
Well, we need to deal with first with the ditches and then see what, I don't know what we can do temporarily, and we're probably gonna be doing it at Court Highlands anyway. Maybe we get a little bit of pitch with a gutterway and we do it at the same time, but we just have to kind of plan that and see if that'll, if that's a feasible option or not. I'm not sold that it will be with the, it's gonna take some surveying of that road and see, if there's any inclination of a pitch to get that water to run into a gutterway, which it's so flat.
But we won't have a lot of funds to even consider it for a while.
No, no. The quickest, cheapest is getting the trees and the backhoe in there to dig those pits out. But anyways, it should be addressed at some point, maybe in 25.
I think it kind of needs
At least get a cost on that.
to stop water instead of clearing it all out, and it needs something to soak it in and slow it down.
A sediment pot would help that.
Yeah, and the sediment pots don't function anymore because they're overflowing.
They're full.
Yeah,
Yeah, so just
yeah,
self-leveled and away it goes.
yeah. So we should maybe get a motion to get some costs in 25. What's it gonna cost to
2025?
dig those sediment? Yeah, do the tree work and the sediment deal. Sediment clean out.
Make a motion to revisit this in 2025 and get some engineering and costs for White Oaks Lane.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Discussion or decision to gain town-owned property on Conservation Road and Parade. This is table. No info?
Not in hand yet, no, but it's submitted, and
Okay.
they're going to do an aerial photo of it since it's forested at this point. I did talk to Jefferson County zoning at Zengel, and he did indicate that even if it wasn't a dump site, because it used to be the old town dump, it's so close to the floodplains, they would not be developable. So it's just gonna have to be vacant land, so that's how they're gonna have to appraise it.
All right, moving on, discussion or decision of Court Lane shoulder maintenance options. Okay, so Brian went and looked at all that, and then, yeah, it's gonna take basically pouring a gutterway and to fix
At the
that
steep hill,
steep on that park side.
Parkside.
Yeah, it's washed out like 18 inches deep, and somebody had put big rock in there one time and washed that stuff out too. And it's gonna be, we probably have to do something temporarily, just put some more shouldering in for now, but, get rid of that hole so the road doesn't fall in. But essentially, it's just gonna be, you're gonna be doing it every year, because you can pretty much assure that you'll get one big rain event and the same thing's gonna keep happening. So at some point, we're gonna have to get prices in.
You gotta put a big rock in there, and
Well, that's what they had in there, but it all washed out.
the fine rock is gonna wash a lot faster.
Yeah, I mean, we'll do whatever. I would have the county do it, because here's the problem. We got the call from the Parks Department, and they were all up in a tizzy, of course, because of another deal we didn't approve. And so that's why I got the county involved, because I'm like, well, it's next to the county park. Let's just get Brian out there, and
fair enough.
take a look at this, and let's let them deal with it. And so that's why I had him come out and look at it. And that's what got discussed, and now we just need to temporarily do something to get some stuff back in there. But I would just have them do it.
Right, yeah.
That way, we're not getting, if it'll prevent another phone call from another party.
You can't allow the road to wash or undermine. That would really be bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I make a motion that we have the Jefferson County Highway Department investigate Korth Lane shoulder maintenance options.
A second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Discussion or decision to move forward with R.E. Smith to engineer Rock Lake Road. Well, I guess that's a new point. We can table that.
Make a motion to table.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor,
Aye.
say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right, discussion on our decision of EMS interstate coverage approach with.
No, we got G.
Oh, my bad. Missed it. Discussion or decision to direct R.E. Smith to submit the annual road ratings on behalf of the town as required by December 15th, 2023. I couldn't remember the last motion we made when we initially approved them to do it.
Well, is it something that we approved for them to continue doing it?
I thought they were gonna do it every 2 years.
2 years? Okay.
Yeah.
As long as they're our engineer, they're gonna do it. So anyway, I'll make a motion that they can do it for this year and then continue to do it every 2 years, right? Whistler?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Discussion or decision of EMS interstate coverage approach with Jefferson County. Did y'all see that email?
Yep.
Okay. Made my head spin.
Yeah.
I agree. I totally understand the dispatcher's issue.
Oh, I understand their issue, but what makes my head spin is when you have 0.2 of a mile
Yeah.
covered by, in two different segments, covered by Cambridge, and then you have Milford over here, and you have Jefferson over here, Johnson Creek. It's just,
It's gonna be simple.
It's crazy.
I asked that question at one of those meetings. How's the interstate gonna be held?
And everyone kind
And
of
I was
scratched their
told
heads.
that each individual municipality was gonna handle their own little portion. And now that's what we got.
It's a mess.
It's gotta be one EMS provider do the section that's required for the city and the town of Lake Mills and whatever, from here to the river or whatever it is.
But I think that all those EMS people need to sit in the same room.
Correct. Yep.
And because it doesn't make any sense.
And I think what the county's asking is they're trying to come up with a solution to get the ball rolling on making a decision. So they try to come up with their own scenario of what they think would work to get something started because nothing was
Yeah, and then
getting
Milford
fixed.
chimed in and said, well, I'm gonna give you this. And I get all that, but I think the EMS folks all need to, whoever each is using, need to all go and sit in the round room. And I don't care if I'm in there too, but, you know, as a rep, or each town has a rep there. But they have to talk about that stuff because that's a mess.
Well, you know, when we were discussing this,
And it makes the dispatcher's job that much harder
right,
to have 6 entities doing it or whatever the heck it was.
we had Milford was involved. Now Milford's not involved, and neither is Waterloo.
Yeah, no, they're out.
With either service, they're out. They're gonna have Waterloo EMS come and pick up that 0.2 of a mile on the interstate. And Milford is Watertown.
They're Watertown.
They ain't coming.
There.
So it's between
25 minutes.
Cambridge or Lake Mills.
Yeah, the city is the closest.
I agree with you, but I think there's gonna have to be, like you said, work it out, but there's gonna have to be some costs. There's costs gonna be.
Oh, I understand that too, because otherwise you're gonna have, you know, the naval or whatever going crazy, and that's what's gonna happen. I mean, that's gonna happen anyway, I think, with these long distances, because Watertown's what, 15 miles? I mean, I know they're gonna be closer at some point, but Waterloo's the same thing. To get their whole section going that way towards Deerfield, and to me, I think that the best move is to have everyone sit at the table and in the with the county, because the county's confused too. And I think that needs to be done. It doesn't need to be our whole board, but just one rep from the board, I think maybe might be beneficial to have there.
Who's gonna head up that meeting, or who's gonna?
Well, I think the county they should hit it from their perspective. And then, and I don't know, maybe all these EMS folks have it figured out, but I don't know. I think it gets pretty complicated once the calls start going out.
Well, the thing is, when you're out on the interstate and there's an accident, and you're the guy that's calling 911, you're not gonna look at that mile marker and say it's
No,
259.4.
Right.
and between Johnson Creek and Lake Mills,
Yep.
or Lake
Yeah,
Mills and
because-
Deerfield.
A little past Johnson.
That's all they're gonna know.
Most people don't even know what mile marker they're at, period.
Right.
They're lucky if they know they're near Lake Mills. I mean, that's the
Yeah,
traffic.
it would take
Yeah.
somebody else out there, like a sheriff's deputy or
Yeah.
a city cop, or somebody else to recognize that. And that takes time. You know, and, yeah, I think that meeting needs to happen. ASAP.
Well, there's Todd Lindhart, right?
Yeah.
He's the dispatcher. I think he should get the meeting.
He must be the head guy, because he's the one that emailed.
Yeah. But the issue is gonna come down to cost, because you got Milford and Waterloo, they do have sections of the interstate in their townships, and they do not have a provider that's going to provide. And if you got Lake Mills, if you got town of Lake Mills, takes the whole section, then you got the city, who has sections of it too, so where is this cost coming from? I guess that's the tough.
Well, and I know
That's
it's,
a tough-
and I can almost envision what's gonna happen is everyone's gonna sit down at the table, especially the town reps, and everyone's gonna sit there and they're gonna go, well, are you gonna pay, say, is town of Waterloo gonna pay, the city more money? And they're gonna be like, no, Mabel. They're gonna smile, and that's what they're gonna do. But that's the wrong answer. I mean, I
agree.
That's not solving the problem. So not to pick on the town of Waterloo, I mean, there could be any of the towns that do that, or the city, perhaps. But I'll be more than happy to sit in on that as a rep. But I think it needs to happen. Take an email going back to Todd, say set up the meeting, but let's get the EMS head Koopas in there too.
Right,
from Craig
exactly, because they have to understand it.
and Waterloo, and and I know it's going to take a little bit of coordination, and it might not happen overnight, but I think it's worth it to have it, because if I'm the person in the accident, it's a serious accident, you're going to be waiting a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's just a shame. That's
Yep.
that's a travesty.
Yeah.
So
The plus side of it is,
Make a motion.
it's a cash cow. Insurance companies.
because otherwise, I'm just going to say, you know what? I'm done with this whole thing. We should go to countywide EMS, because that's going to be the solution to the problem. It is.
But like Dave was saying, they make a lot of money off the calls on the interstate because the insurance, so maybe a cost offset would be the fact that they're gonna be getting this
Right.
reimbursement from the insurance
Sure.
companies at a higher rate.
Which
than
goes
a-
back to
than a
offset
town
the
road.
budget.
Yeah, but then you're gonna get the argument that there's one ambulance in the city of Lake Mills. Now, he's gonna go out to the interstate and take care of a call in the town of Lake Mills. Now and then you get a call in the city of Lake Mills. That's where you're gonna get the problem.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
because
Yeah, it's
you're
gonna be
get
second
pushback
class.
from that.
It's going to be second and third calls that are going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But it should be bang, bang. It should be the closest people go first, and then the next closest, not this 20
If you're
miles
focusing
away.
on getting there as quickly as possible to help people, yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's the goal of the thing. It's not to
Not about money.
be pitted in your corner. Yeah.
And there's a way you work that, if there is, then you have a mutual aid, but Cambridge, if Lake Mills, city of Lake Mills covers the interstate, let's just say that scenario, and they get a call in the city, then there should be an agreement that the
You got to have each other's backs.
Cambridge
Right.
goes to the city call,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because they're out doing.
But that should be these guys working
Yeah,
that together.
exactly.
I can't.
No, I
I'm
know,
like,
we
That'd be
can't.
like us telling them how to do their job.
yeah. Yeah. I know. Yeah.
That's micromanagement. And I know Paul has had some of those conversations. I don't know if it's been fruitful or not, but they have talked about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just scary. I mean, when I saw that email, I mean, I could totally see where his frustration was coming from, and I'm just like,
It's a mess.
it's horrific.
Make a motion that we have Tom get a hold of Todd and Lindart and try to set up that meeting with all the EMS providers,
In towns, cities.
towns and cities.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Discussion decision, put the glasses back on. Discussion and a decision to have Rock Creek Grade as a tree maintenance service provider for the town. I just brought this up because he's been working a lot.
Yeah, and he's right on it when we need him, because like the tree on Hill Road,
Yeah, unless he's out of town, but then, that's kind of that, like, sometimes he doesn't answer right away,
Well,
and I get that.
not everybody can be around all the time.
Yeah.
It's just, that's why they have a pecking order.
And that's why at Cutting Edge go move that one out of the road that's not even ours.
Which, that was my thought on this one here. It's like, you have to make the determination, you might be paying Matt to be doing some other township's work, and then do you then charge him? Because it's $100 for the call.
Yeah. Well, but at the same time, we gotta have some backup.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
nice to, what I found is that, working with Matt, or even like cutting it, when I had to have him go down and straw that down on the bottom of
White Oaks.
White Oaks, it was like boom. You gotta call another contractor, it's gonna be 3 weeks. It's like,
That's quick enough.
and these local guys, I found it's just really nice to have. They're fast, they drop what they're doing almost all the time, and they come and get it done for you. And I think that's pretty cool, and they're both, for all practical purposes, in our township. So,
Right.
so yeah, I mean, and I don't, I think Matt's been pretty fair with the tree costs. I mean, it's hard to say, but Crezon, I mean, that one tree we did that with him on that one road, it took him forever to get out there. And I know he had some things go on, but
Yeah. Do we need to have some sort of formal agreement that he's our emergency contact, or is it just sort of a?
It has to be called into the county because the dispatcher has to know who they call first.
Yes, in fact, I just got the email to do the annual update of that.
I mean, I think it's still good for us to know that something's going
Oh,
on.
that was the other thing is like,
Yeah.
one, you never know when they're going out. And then you never know, if it's your area, because I've had the calls, it's Wooden Drive, it's like, that's not our road.
It's not
Call
our road.
Waterloo.
Yeah. Yeah, and this one, I was fishy on this one because when she said it was a mile or something down the road to the east, I was like,
Which road was this on?
It was at
North
North
Shore.
Shore.
Oh,
I'm like,
Sunday morning.
and they don't know,
right.
so it's like, what do you do?
So,
You got the call.
right, so do we bill that other municipality for the cost of it?
We could. I mean,
Yeah, we could, and they,
and just say, hey, we got the call, and because otherwise, if you start to play this phone, why don't you call the town of Waterloo? Well, you start playing phone tag, and all you want to do is get the tree out of the road.
right.
Right, yeah. And that's what Matt does too. There's still the tree that fell out on Newville Road that's still laying there because Matt will stack them up. And he doesn't clean them up right away. The
But
first,
the wood is the property owner's wood.
right, but it only can be there so long.
Correct.
It has to be cleaned up because otherwise it's,
I'm griping to the state about that one. That's a law that needs to be changed, like ASAP. So, anyways, yeah, I think he's, worthy to continue to use for the tree stuff, for sure.
So you want to make him the emergency contact for the county? Is that what we want to do?
I think just indicating that he's our emergency contact, but yes, that I'm gonna need some feedback, and I'll forward it to you guys, because I just got it, as far as the emergency contacts
Yeah.
for the county to have on hand.
Do we want to do the call to Matt? I mean, that's what we've been doing. If I can't go,
When I've been calling him too, or texting him or whatever, yeah, right away, so.
When you were up north, I texted him and you at the same time.
I saw
so it
that. That was good. That was all good. I had no issue with that. Yep. But yeah, and like I said, I get a little nervous when it sits in the road, so then that's why I called Chandler to go over there and just get the damn thing out of the road, because I didn't know if Matt was gonna, and he was up at 1 in the morning or 1:30.
Well, then he came from a wedding too,
He came.
so.
Yeah, he was up all night. Yeah, so I was just like, ooh, maybe I better send somebody else, because I can't get to it. So that's why I did that. But anyways, yeah, I think he's the guy that. I would say, I'm fine being the emergency contact. And he's going to be our, he's
For
going to be
this
our,
year.
he's going to be our first
Go-to.
go-to out of the gate, and then I would probably go to cutting edge after that.
Okay.
Make a motion that we have Rock Creek Grade as a tree maintenance service provider for the town as the first call person.
Second.
That allows you to, if he's not available, call
Yep,
second.
yep.
Right.
Sounds good to me. Good, second.
Yeah. I did.
Any other discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay, motion carries. All right, correspondence.
The email I got from the county, which I just referred to, that will have to update the emergency information. What I was gonna do is get into a little bit easier format. They sent it in the body of an email, so it's really hard to fill in. So then I was gonna ask you guys what we needed to fill in. That's about it. Nothing major. It's been pretty quiet.
As far as stop signs, I guess they always used to call me because I have a temporary sign, so then what do you want to do with that? I mean, the officers get quite picky about a stop sign.
Yes,
It's not for the locals, it's for the people that are not local.
because they don't know for
Yeah.
safety.
Safety, yeah.
So, I mean,
It needs to be with someone that's around pretty regularly that can put it out in a quick pinch, I think. Because even our officers aren't local. A lot of them are not local. And they're not full-time either. Do we need to have the sign here and then just sort of do a list, priority of who goes out first? If you're not, it's the same thing as what you did with the tree?
or it can sit right in the side of my shed, and if I'm not home, somebody can come and get it.
That sounds good.
All right.
Where it's at.
Okay.
Draw that stick figure map for us.
You can see it when you
Which
drive in the
cor-
driveway.
which
If it's
corner?
dark,
It's that kind of stuff that they need that information on, so. yeah. Okay. I really don't have anything else for
All
correspondence.
right, discussion of future agenda items.
All right. So anything that's tabled, I'm assuming?
Yep.
Much tabled, but yeah.
No.
We have the ordinances.
Ordinances.
Yep.
They're on the-
Ordinances.
They're on the website, Robin said, so you can review them on there.
Yep, I just put all of them on the website in a draft form that shows where the changes were made. Most of them are just an update, taking the
Okay.
actual fee amount out and saying refer to the fee schedule. A lot of them are to get the signature page on the final copy, so that's the copy that's always posted, so you can see all the signatures and updated dates and such. And then the next meeting, we'll have the public hearing on them to review them, and then we could either adopt them at that meeting or move it to the next meeting for adoption. So pretty much just a text update on all of them. No actual change in regulations.
Did you get the one exhibit?
Okay. I'm not sure if I got the only exhibit I know
August.
that's attached is the toilet, number of toilets.
August, we should put on there to reapply for the Mud Lake Road Grant, recycle. Discuss, decide.
We may have a petition to come through as well.
Unless you want to do a different road, but we had that one, we already submitted to the STP on that one, and then, so it's updated costs, and what else has to be done?
I was gonna say, make sure you update the costs.
Update the costs, yeah. But it shouldn't take a ton of work to recycle it. Yeah, you're right. Because that'll come out in September, and then it'll have to be in by December, I think is what Brian said, or something like that. But I'll have to go to a meeting where all the towns fight each other, or which are the most priority roads, and we'll want to have our ducks in a row early on that, so if we can do something with it in August, then we'll do bang, bang, bang.
Do we need to have anything on there as far as getting ready to do that resolution for the levy? I know there's a certain number of days that has to be,
Yeah, it's 30.
I would have that on there so we can,
at least get it
I think we're
started.
gonna need it.
Yeah, we can start talking about it, but you have to wait for the Department of
I'm not keening on roads.
Right,
before we can.
right. I
Costs just
think
keep going up.
start getting everything sort of prepped as a template
Yeah.
to
Yeah, we
just
didn't
run
do
with
any
it. I think
maintenance
it's
this year,
good.
hardly nothing. So
And then I would like to have an EMS discussion. Now, maybe it's closed session or whatever, but, you know, we gotta figure out something by January.
Yeah.
What we're gonna do, so
Yep.
we should, maybe that's a closed session because.
Yep. I
Okay,
agree.
closed session on EMS.
Okay. That's for like a contract type,
Well,
or just discussion of negotiation of services?
facility,
A
EMS
facility.
facility.
Negotiations, basically, is what it would fall under for the state statute.
Well, yeah, because it was hinging on with their medical director. Well, from the sounds of it to me.
For temporary, it's.
Yeah, it was temporary, it wasn't for five years. And it's really kind of a disservice to what's going on right now with these people that are really putting in a lot of extra effort, you know, in our community, keeping things at their house. And
Okay. Trying to think of other things in the fall.
Once they're working on the contract.
yeah, no, I know they are. It's nothing happens overnight.
Yeah, and then it
But the
goes.
facility thing is gonna be a big
There
thing.
was a question as to whether or not we had corrected the issues with the manhole covers on the bridle path, Short Hills area.
Won't get done
Because
for
that
any money.
clips the plow every time they go over it, and it costs us more time and money. Just bringing it up because it was brought up.
I know, but he plows that. He also plows it 1,000 times a year. They know where they're at. It's not like they can slow down and not go 100 miles over the
It's
top.
my understanding there's what, a lip on the actual ring of the manhole cover. So.
And we do them as we have money. We haven't spent any maintenance money on anything else. It's been trees, course highlights, game, set, match.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know unless we're going to take out a loan, but I don't think that's a priority. We got other roads that are falling apart. All right, meeting schedule, August 1st, 2023, Plan Commission meeting 7 PM at the Town Hall. August 3rd, 2023, Parks Committee meeting 7 PM at the Town Hall. August 8th, 2023, Town Board meeting 7 PM at the Town Hall. And August 10th, 2023, Joint Rock Lake Committee meeting 6 PM at City Hall.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Adjourn at 8:12 PM.